We start with the ongoing Greenland crisis, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Russian Federation, Sergey Lavrov, has addressed the growing tensions around Greenland, especially its relationship with NATO. He has emphasized that NATO must decide on Greenland's future within the alliance. According to Lavrov, Russia is also closely monitoring the geopolitical situation in the region. But Lavrov dismissed any rumors about Russia or China planning an invasion. He also pointed out that the issue of former colonial territories like Greenland has become more relevant in recent discussions. Lavrov further questioned Greenland's status as a natural part of Denmark and asserted that NATO is currently undergoing a period of internal challenges, with Russia having no interest in interfering in Greenland's affairs. Joining us now to discuss this development in just a second is Gilbert Doctorow. He's an international affairs expert. He joins us live from Brussels very soon. But of course, this is a continuing and developing situation. Of course, Donald Trump has made no secret of his ambition for Greenland, the world's largest island, to become part of the United States, something which Denmark, who has the autonomous territory, completely and utterly rejects, along with European allies. Of course, NATO is in strain here with the United States, the key funder of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Denmark, another member, of course. This is the first time we've ever seen strain inside the alliance in its over 80-year history. Of course, the Danish Prime Minister, Mette Frederiksen, has said they absolutely reject the United States coming and annexing the territory. President Trump has been nothing short of assertive when it comes to his statements, and aggressive, unapologetic even, some might say. He also refuses to rule out force, now placing tariffs on European partners, which sent troops to the island for so-called military drills. Military drills which the United States was initially invited to. However, the Trump administration saw that as aggression from Europe and have announced that they will place 10% tariffs on those who reject Trump's Greenland plans, and then those are to soar to 25% on the 1st of June if the situation is ongoing and their stance remains the same. So this is really a focal point right now in global geopolitics, and something which is expected to be discussed at the Davos World Economic Forum. Donald Trump has already said that he is going to indeed discuss it, and so we are likely to get some statements there when he does his speech in Switzerland very, very soon. We'll of course keep you updated on that. But of course, Russia is involved in this. Donald Trump's claims that either Russia or China is going to take over the island, and so the United States needs it. The Russian foreign minister pushing back against that claim and saying that the Russian Federation has no ambition to take over Greenland, which has a population of around 60,000 people, of which the majority have vied for independence for years. Of course, the territory very sparsely populated, with around 25,000 in the capital of Nuuk. We're now joined by Gilbert Doctorow. He's an international affairs expert, and he joins us live from Brussels. Thank you very much, Gilbert, for joining us here on NewsX World. Of course, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. We've just heard the Russian foreign minister. He says that NATO should make a decision on Greenland within the alliance. He also has countered one of Donald Trump's talking points and said that Russia has no ambition to take the island, which is an autonomous territory of Denmark. What was the Russian foreign minister trying to aim at with these statements?
Well, he's just stating the facts. It's pretty obvious that Russia has no ambition to take over Greenland. This is just a talking point to Donald Trump. Nonetheless, let me tell you that what the Russian chattering classes are saying is quite different. The Russian chattering classes, the people who are experts, academic experts, members of the State Duma, who appear on the most responsible Russian talk shows, were saying last night that they are delighted to watch this fight between Trump and the Europeans over Greenland. I think they understand very well that Trump is trying to destroy NATO, and if he destroys NATO, then Russia will receive all of the benefits in terms of eventually sitting down with the Europeans to revise the security architecture that were the cause of the war in February 2022. Though Mr. Trump's efforts to be a peace negotiator have failed completely, he is getting at the same results by a totally different method.
Gilbert, what more can you tell? Like, how important is this current situation in the geopolitical climate? Of course, Donald Trump. Yesterday, we saw that letter that he'd sent to the Norwegian Prime Minister saying he no longer has peace at the front of his mind. Now, this is a significant development. This is really turning into and spiraling into something that, as you said, could be the end of NATO. Do you truly think that Donald Trump wants that?
Oh, I have no doubt whatsoever. Of course, he never dared to express that because the whole of Congress would come down on his head. Of course, he has a protection from impeachment, which he didn't have in his first mandate, namely that if he were impeached, then J.D. Vance would take over. And from the perspective of those who would want to impeach him, that's even worse. So he has a protection from impeachment. But we are witnesses today to an event that takes place once in 80 or 100 years. And so I advise your audience to follow this very closely because they will have something to tell their children and grandchildren years from now.
And what's the view from Moscow of this? Of course, we know that Donald Trump has made these statements that Russia wants Greenland and also China as well, apparently. And so what will the Russians be thinking right now as they're seeing this situation unfold in front of their eyes?
Well, as I say, the Russian elites, the ones who appear on the most responsible talk shows like Vladimir Solovyov's evening last night, they are delighted with what is going on, and they appreciate that Donald Trump is actively trying to destroy NATO. That is not the Russian government policy, of course. They are silent about it, neutral about it, the way that Mr. Lavrov was in the quotation that you gave at the start of our discussion. However, the thinking people of Russia understand that Trump is doing something of great importance for Russia's return to the international community. And we saw that a day ago, how Trump's threats and disputes with Europe have even taken a hold of Emmanuel Macron, who yesterday is quoted as saying that he would like to see Russia invited to the next G7 meeting, which is, considering it's coming from Macron, who has been one of the most fierce enemies of Russia in recent months, that is an enormous change of view. And the Russians, of course, never were keen on rejoining the G7 because they were isolated as one country against seven in a G8. However, under the present conditions, where Trump is at war with Europe, there would be at least two powers against six. Russia and the United States would be siding on many issues against the other members of the G7-G8.
Gilbert, Dr. Rowe, thank you very much for joining us here on NewsX World. It's always